By God, who ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin? Welcome back to Fog Wrestling. It's time for a WWF 1999 Survivor Series review. And yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, folks. Strap in. It shall be interesting to say the least, because what we have here is a weird pay-per-view. You know, I recently reviewed the SmackDown beforehand with Arnold Schwarzenegger appearing. I mean, this was the last show that Austin would be on until Backlash 2000, and then of course he wouldn't have come back until, what was the pay-per-view called? Unforgiven 2000, where he came back and he stunnered Shane McMahon. Anyway, I digress. Let's get into the show, which of course was in Detroit, Michigan, 14th of November 1999. I wasn't even born yet. I was about 11 months for being born. But anyway, less about me, more about the show. Obviously, going into this pay-per-view, you've got a triple threat match. Austin, Rock, Triple H. We'll get to that later on. You've got Big Show, Big Boss Man feuding, and you've just got, you know, the El Generico, like Survivor Series traditional matches. And I do think around this point, they were watered down. And you know what? Not everything in the Attitude Era was perfect, and I'm actually a strong believer that I actually think the weekly shows were better than the pay-per-views in the Attitude Era. That's just my opinion. Like I genuinely believe that, because I don't prefer long matches. I like short matches, but obviously at pay-per-views you're going to get longer matches. Anyway, let's move on to the opening match of this show. 4-on-4 Survivor Series match. D'Lo Brown, the Godfather, the Headbangers, taking on the Acolytes and the Dudley Boys. 4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match. Here, I thoroughly enjoyed this match. Everybody's got a gimmick, and that's honestly makes it great. You've also got DQ eliminations here. You've got pretty much everybody dressed up as pimps in the Godfather's team. They end up winning, which I thought was pretty funny. But yeah, this match lasted about 10 minutes. It was alright. I thought it was a decent opener. Some decent spots in there as well. But right, Dudley. Pimpin' ain't easy. Roll a fatty for this pimp daddy. I'd say pimpin' ain't easy. D'Lo Brown, you know, rolling his neck around. Brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. We then got a recap of what happened on Heat. The Big Show battered his team, so he's going into the Survivor Series match tonight, 4-on-1. Will he win? We'll have to wait and see. We then have Kurt Angle taking on Shawn Stasiak. Kurt Angle's debut, a monumental moment, and a good match. Shawn Stasiak, decent worker, underrated. Can't really complain too much about the guy. Obviously, he's very green here, but, you know, Kurt Angle, one of my favourites of all time. I love wee bald Kurt Angle, whether it's, you know, receded hair Kurt, bald Kurt, sexy Kurt, Perk Angle. I know he doesn't like being called it. It was a shite time in his life, but you know what? It was fucking great, Kurt. Sorry, son, but it was. You know, or current Kurt, you know, looking old, but here, everyone grows gracefully, and he is one of the GOATs of all time. I think he's the most underrated of all time. He literally had it all. But anyway, enough about my hard on for Kurt Angle. Let's talk about the rest of the show, because Kurt Angle won this match with the Angle Slam. We then cut backstage. We've got The Rock being interviewed here. I believe it was by Michael Cole, but then DX interrupted. They get into a brawl with The Rock, but it's split up rather quickly. We then have another 4-on-4 match. Gangrel, Mark Henry, Steve Blackman, and Val Venis. So you've got the Vampire, Sexual Chocolate, Crazy Bastard Blackman, and the Porn Star Val Venis taking on the British Bulldog and the Mean Street Posse. People bury the Mean Street Posse, man. I actually like the gimmick now. Why were they teaming up with the British Bulldog? I don't agree with that. Right? I really don't agree with that. But in terms of the Mean Street Posse, I didn't mind them. Joey Abs, Pete Gas, and Rodney. The fact of the matter is this, right? They drew one of the highest ever quarters in fucking Raw in wrestling history. They got like, I think it was like what? It was 10. It was like, if it wasn't 10 million, it was like 9.6, and I think it was like them against the Stooges. So put a bit of fucking respect on their name, folks. Anyway, I didn't mind this at all. Obviously, Bulldog, he's 4-on-1, but he gets beat. The Mean Street Posse are no more. Up next, we have got Deborah, the Fabulous Mula, Mae Young, and Tori defeating Ivory, Jacqueline, Luna, and Terry Reynolds. Was this match absolutely horrific from a wrestling point of view? You bet your bottom dollar. Of course it was. It was absolute shite. It was absolute mince. Let's not pretend it wasn't, but it was funny. It was entertaining, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. The commentary between King and JR made the match. See Mae Young and Mule at their age is fucking mental, but here, am I going to complain seeing the likes of Deborah and Terry Reynolds? No, I'm not. But Team Deborah wins. It was only one. It was only one fall to a finish. It wasn't elimination. And what was funny about it is they were like, "Thank fuck." JR was pretty much putting over. Thank fuck this isn't elimination, which I thought was funny. Up next with Kane versus X-Pac. You can show us what to do. You think you're better? You think that you're better? Or just ready to bow down to the master? Suck it, fool. I just got tired of telling you what to do. Anyway, Kane wins via disqualification. X-Pac being a little bastard heel that he is. And I like this feud, and it continues well into 2000, into the Royal Rumble and all that good stuff. Anyway, only 4 minutes 15, but here, I've seen worse matches. Well, it's the Big Show. But Big Show against Big Boss Man, Mideon, Albert, and Viscera. Of course, at this stage of the game, Big Show wiped out his team, as I mentioned earlier, on Heat. So they're gone. They're out the equation. And essentially, Big Show squashes Mideon, Albert, and Viscera. Big Boss Man gets counted out and runs away. Of course, Big Boss Man and Big Show would have a WWF title match at Armageddon, which the Big Show would win. And you know what? Yeah, it's not a title match, you know, especially in 99, like the matches you should be having instead of it. But people got to bear in mind, see that funeral stuff and him pulling the casket and tear gassing him. This was a great storyline. It was. And you know what? If there was ever a time to have a feud for a world title despite in a great era, it was probably this time. It was quick and painless. Not like it lasted 7 months like they would in fucking modern WWE. So I'm not going to begrudge Big Boss Man getting a world title shot and Big Show having a title run, right? Even though I'm not a big fan of both of them, but I thought this was really good work. But Big Show wins. We move on. We then cut backstage. Stone Cold Steve Austin has got an interview. But then DX start brawling with him. He gets put down. He's chasing after Triple H. He gets his way into the parking lot. He's like, "Triple H, you bastard! Where are you? What?" Even though he wasn't saying what at this point. "Gotta whip a couple of Steve Wise. Hey, Barnland." He looks to his right. Boom. Car smashes through the fence, through the barricade, and runs Stone Cold Steve Austin over. Camera runs over to Austin. It's not looking good. But then, like, well, it wasn't we came back for the break, but it was kind of like McMahon came out, Shane, Triple H, Test, DX, and they're like fucking screaming, "Who done this?" It's like, "This was you." And Triple H is like, "No, yeah, I don't like Austin, yeah." And I wanted to beat him tonight, but I would never do this. And then Vince is like, "Well, screw it, Shane. I'm not being the guest referee tonight. I'm away to the hospital with Steve." And Shane McMahon's like, "What are we going to do?" And then Vince's like, just normal referee." So it's like, by God, we're losing Vince at the main event, and we lost Austin because he got run over. Who's the replacement going to be? Is there going to be a replacement? So many questions being asked, but obviously one of the most iconic moments of the Attitude Era, and easily the best moment of this show. Because this show, it was alright, but I think in terms of the Attitude Era, you would just expect Survivor Series to be so much better than this, but it wasn't. Match 7, intergender match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship. This was the the 4th longest match of the night. But Jesus Christ, China with Miss Kitty against Jericho. I remember watching this match thinking, is this ever going to fucking end? And one thing I like about Jericho, even if he is drinking the Tony Khan Kool-Aid these days, I mean, he always did say that he didn't like working with China and it was one of the worst workers ever worked with, and it upset people. But you know what? Why should someone just pretend that someone was great because she sadly passed away? And I like China, you know what I mean? I think she has a big part of the Attitude Era. But the reality is, let's not beat around the bush and pretend people are better than what they are just because they sadly died. You know what I mean? It's just a mystery to that to me. But this match, very long, very boring. Jericho did his best, but Jesus Christ, Chyna's shite. But she did win. Up next, we've got the Hollies and Too Cool taking on Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys. And for some reason, the Hollies and Too Cool defeated Edge and Christian and the Hardy Boys, who are not long out of their tag team 2-on-2 ladder match at No Mercy. Of course, Terry Ronalds was managing them during this match because she was her invitational, $100,000 on the line. 4-on-4 match, brilliant. But Hollies and Too Cool win. This is easily the best Survivor Series traditional match of the night. Let's be honest. Up next for the WWF Tag Team Championships of the World, the Raw Dog Jesse James, the Badass Billy Gunn, the New Age Outlaws. And then they took on Al Snow and Mankind. Great line of commentary during this match for JR. He says that Mankind gave Al Snow head during SmackDown. I watched SmackDown and I think he must have meant Raw because I literally reviewed it a couple of weeks ago. I do not recall. But I mean, we're not talking about literal head here, right? But we're obviously talking about the mannequin. But I don't recall it. It must have happened on Raw. Unless I have a memory like a sieve. But this was a decent match. I mean, Road Dogg's a shite worker. Mankind and Al Snow, all good. It's sad even at this point that Mick Foley is beginning to, like, you know, wind it down here. It really, really freaking is, people. Up next, after this, because the Outlaws retain, it is your main event. It's Triple H and The Rock. And who's the other opponent going to be? Well, it was the Big Show. We got a triple threat match here. It's your typical Attitude Era match. A lot of interference, a lot of spots. McMahon returns. Shane McMahon's out there. He gets flattened. McMahon returns. He's the one that counts the 1, 2, 3 as the Big Show wins the WWF Championship by pinning Triple H, which surprised me, to be honest. Didn't really see that coming. But yeah, folks, overall, a pretty lackluster pay-per-view for the Attitude Era, I have to be honest. A lot of the matches were long and dragged out and a bit boring, a bit clunky, but that is that. But you know what? There's still storylines going on. I mean, Austin getting run over is fucking massive, and the tune in to see what happens on Raw. The incentive is there, and you know what? Not the great hangers around this time. We don't like it. You get WCW, the look on late '99. All these great options you've got. Fantastic. Anyway, I'll get a 6 out of 10. I mean, I tell you what, like, you'd probably struggle to hear me rate an Attitude Era show lower than that, but I think that's just the truth of it, to be honest. Probably the weakest Survivor Series of the Attitude Era. I mean, 98 Deadly Games, oh, chef's kiss. 97 The Screwjob, mental. 2000's great. 2001's fucking epic. I love that match. 2002's epic. 2003, 2004, fuck me, they're all great. No, Attitude Era, those ones at the end, but you get my point. Anyway, 6 out of 10. Be back very soon, and peace.